Hi guys, my name is Solomon Jogwe. I am the creator and director of The Adventures of Nkoza. I am an artist based in the US, but I am originally from Uganda. And this tutorial that I'm gonna be showing you is it's a not a very long one, but it's gonna be covering my workflow of how I use iClone to create the facial and body animations for the characters in my animated TV series, The Adventures of Nkoza and Nankya. And
Grandpapa?
I've had this
What?
dream uh, since I was a kid growing up in Uganda, bringing my stories to life using animation, but I didn't have the funds and team to pull it off. So I tried for several years to bring, with the help of friends and family, and my two close buddies, Bruno Sekandi and Natana Jello. But the process was slow going because we all had our own responsibilities. It wasn't until I started using iClone that I truly felt that I'd finally found a program that made it possible for me to realize that dream. Being able to bring custom characters into iClone using 3D Exchange opened the animation possibilities to me. Using the iClone facial animation tools, I was able to create convincing dialogue for my series. So in this tutorial, I'm using the little girl Nankya as the case study. The workflow is applicable to all any other character that you may have, and I'm hoping that this process helps um, others out there who might, who are looking for an affordable solution to get their dream off the ground and take it from paper to screen. So to bring your custom character into 3D Exchange, you definitely need a character with morphs already, with the blinks and the mouth shapes and all that. And Reallusion has done an awesome job of making sure that they provide tutorials on towards that end. So I recommend going to their YouTube channel and checking out tutorials like this one and importing characters into 3D Exchange. So it's a quite lengthy process, but once you do it, you'll be able to do it again and again because now you know the process of how to do it. So I won't get too deep into that. So what I do with Nkoza and Nankya is again I export the character from 3ds Max into 3D Exchange, right? Now the one thing that I absolutely recommend that you make sure you check the that your character actually has the required morphs and blend shapes, if you may. So you need to go into the expression editor, right, and go through each tab in the expression editor. Make sure that all these, the head tilt, downward, left, and also the eyes. Make sure all these are working in your character. And if they're not working, make sure you enable them or program them. So the way you do it is you turn on auto apply right here. Usually turn off the show facial bonds and use the regular keys. So what it will do is that once you reach a point like this, it's in auto mode, so it will be able to record those keys. Same thing here. All right, so again, make sure you go through, make sure all these shapes are available, and equally important are the visems, and then the brows, eyelids. The muscle group is extremely important for if you're going to use the Faceware Facial motion plugin. facial mockup. So there are two ways to send the character from here into iClone. You can use the export iClone content dialog, box right here. And usually what I do is I choose the default, but sometimes I also specify because I'm able to, put a character specifically in a folder that then I am able to. And there's no animation right now, so I just export the character just as it is. Okay, the second option is using the apply to iClone. So this one sends it directly to iClone. If iClone is not open on your computer, it's going to automatically run it. And so those are the two ways. And if you're going to use the export to iClone, I'd recommend that you definitely organize your folders according so the character is put in a folder that you can easily find. And so this is the most important stage because if you don't get your character working properly in here, it's not gonna work properly in iClone. So this you have to get right. And so once you get to iClone, what I do is I organize my folders according to the character. So I put, like when I was exporting from 3D Exchange, I had to make sure that this folder was listed in the export options. So I'm able to create a thumbnail so that each time that I need to reuse these characters, that they are already available. So all I have to do is double click on this character and it comes into on the stage right here. So this character right now, just extend this a little bit. So this shows you what it looks like after I've put in all the work of doing the facial animation and the lip sync. And again, there's a whole tutorial that Reallusion has provided on their YouTube channel of how all these nuances are done. But what I can point out is that I link the different props that the character is going to um, use in this scene, and I also export them from 3D Exchange, and I place them under the prop folder, under the custom folder, and I organize it again to according to this my project. And under props, it's extremely important to organize it so that it's easy to find. It will save you a lot of time. So for the fruit, like the one that she's holding right now, again, these are the different objects that I was able to import from 3D Exchange. These were modeled in Maya by my teammate Bruno Secandi, and we work together again to create this environment. It's important as a team, as you're working together as a team, that you all know what is needed, because if the models are not textured properly, if they're not the color scheme doesn't match the environment that you're going to be using, it's going to look it's not going to turn out well in iClone, because iClone is a real-time render program, but also offers real-time rendering using iRay, which has just recently been added. And these images or these props, if the textures are not correctly organized, if you don't have a diffuse channel, a specular channel, normal map, they won't look right in the scene. So we've already done this part. I also have some instruments in here and the fonts that the different characters use. Nankya's font is this one right here. I have several versions because I have different screens, like when the grandpa is calling. So again, this is the finished product. So how do you get to this point? What you do is you select the character, right? After you've set up the environment, the chairs, again, the environment is brought in from 3D Exchange, but you need to be the character. When you double click the character to bring him into iClone, they're gonna be in the center of the scene. So when you are organizing your scenes, I recommend being in the preview mode, because that way you can manage the different positions without affecting your camera. And so as you can tell, this is an entire level of the building, right? This is the home of Nkoza and Nankya, but in the kitchen is where all the action is taking place. And again, it's going to depend on how you set out your storyboard, but for this particular episode, I have the scene set up in the kitchen with Nankya having to hold some fruit. So these fruits are actually parented to the hands. So what I do is I select the prop itself and go down to the attach section, pick parent, and then I just click on the pick parent and I click on the hand, and as you can see, it's linked to the left hand. Same applies to the phone. I click on pick parent and I click on Nankya's hand. So there's a hidden like stand-in phone that I used before this was modeled. So as a team, again, you work together. Even if a model is not yet complete, you can create stand-in objects to achieve the animation, and then you can swap it out. Okay, so for the face, which is the main reason why we're doing this tutorial, is that I'm using Motion Live which is again, you can start off with the facial mockup, which is a plugin that was a standalone plugin, but now Reallusion has implemented Motion Live that brings those plugins together in one dialog box. So let me launch that, and it looks like this. So right now the Faceware plugin is not yet running. It's a Faceware RealTime. That's the one that we are going to be using for the face, and the character has to be selected, otherwise you won't have any option to turn it on. So I'm gonna pause real quick. All right, so this is the Faceware RealTime for iClone plugin, and as you can see, as I'm moving my head, it's trying to track my lips. And this is what I'm using to make the animations for Nkoza and Nankya, the grandfather, and also Nkoza. And so I use it in two ways. One, I use a sequence of images that are captured using a head-mounted camera. And then I also use it in real time. So that's why I have the way I've differentiated it was passive in the active animation. So for the animation where the character is just going to be responding, so Nankya is holding the phone and she's listening to the grandfather calling in, and she's asking him questions, what's the name of this, what's the name of that. So I consider that as active when she's talking and passive when she's listening in. So this plugin, the Faceware RealTime plugin, is extremely helpful when you're using it to create passive animation, like, oh, hey grandpa, what's the name of this, and then she's listening, right? And so it's important to, I'm gonna look at the camera right now so I can calibrate, and let me put it over here so you can see. So calibrate a neutral pause. So that's calibrated, and it's following my lips and my blinks as well. So that's what I'm using. And so what I'll do is then click on the character, right? Make sure that she's selected. And so for the face, enable Faceware RealTime, right? And then you have to activate it right here, and then this will turn green. So that's how now it's enabled. And so we're going to do a quick try, right? We're going to do a preview. I'm going to press preview here and press the spacebar. So if I'm ready, right now I'm just previewing what she's doing. And if you notice that because I'm looking over here trying to record the tutorial, but the eyebrow is kind of off. So you have to look directly at the camera while you're talking so that the animation is captured that way. So this is the point where you actually need to refer to your storyboard and your animatic and see what the character needs to be doing. So this weirdness that you're looking at is because I've turned sideways, right? So if you have a head-mounted camera that is constantly following your head, you're not going to run into the issues of occlusion. With this, the way I'm recording real time right now, I have to face the camera so that Nankya can actually talk. And so another option is using a sequence of images. Let me pause. So to use a sequence of images, you go to Edit, Settings, and instead of the webcam, use the image sequence right here. And right now, I'm just gonna pick up Nankya talking about a gorilla. We know what the name of a gorilla is, and select. And so given, the speed of your computer, this might take a few seconds. It might take a lot of minutes, but it's going to depend on the number of frames or the sequence of images that you have. And so I'm going to pause real quick. Okay, so this sequence of images is of my daughter, who is the voice actor for Nkoza and Nankya. She's voice acting Nankya right now. Okay, so what we'll do is, again, we'll calibrate her pause, and then the the plugin is gonna track her face. Actually, I need it like right there. Okay, so it's very important if you have a voice actor who's going to be playing one of your characters, is that if they're smiling, that's not the default pose. You need to find a place where she's actually the mouth is closed, and so this is what Nankya is trying to do. So this one will require a little bit of more time, again of fine tuning. I encourage you to record an initial frame, maybe of a segment of about maybe 5 to 10 seconds of your voice actor doing nothing but looking straight into the camera. So again, so the better the calibration pause, the better the animation is gonna be over here. And so I had to let it go for a while so that you could actually see how long it took. So I'll call this Nankya. Nankya talking. And so it will create its own thumbnail over here. And let's go ahead and get rid of this for now. Okay. And I'm gonna, let's see, I'm in preview mode, so I can actually zoom in and right click, capture thumbnail. Oh, it's too much. Right click, capture thumbnail. Okay, so that's how you create a bank of different animations. So you can do the same thing for the face. I have Nankya here, and I usually go through and create for each particular episode. I have a bank of different animations, and same applies to the motion. So the one that I created, this one that we added, is motion plus, which means if I were to rewind and remove object animation from this character and play it back, right? So there's only blinking, right? Because the blinking is already enabled. It's automatic blinking is enabled here. And let me scroll over here. So you can actually turn it off, right? And so when you play it back, there's no animation whatsoever, no body animation. So because this animation, the motion plus folder, stores the blinking, the face, the body, all the animation that is on the character. So if I double click on this file and play it back, so you can see now the character is animated. And I can always turn on the auto blink. It blinks normal. Okay, so that is in a nutshell the way I go about animating the characters in Nkoza and Nankya, and it has really been extremely helpful in getting me to um, realizing my dream of bringing these characters to life. And I mean, my TV series is mainly trying to teach the kids who are here in the diaspora to treasure their culture, rich culture heritage. And with that, you need tools that are able to, help you get to that point. And that dream and mine has been to getting my character to speak and to also tell stories with her family. And I've done it, I've achieved it using iClone. So before I leave, one other thing that that I love about iClone is that here, if you notice this animation right here, this was rendered using iClone, right? But this was before Reallusion added iRay to iClone. check this out. So this is a new addition to iClone, and it's a real-time render engine that uses GPU rendering. And the way you access it is up at the top here. You have the real preview. You can also isolate just one object, to render. And for those of you who have tried to render in iClone before, you didn't get this kind of like good render images or even animations, but now you're actually able to render animations using iClone with iRay. And what is really cool, I'll bring up the settings here, is that let me see where the settings go. I need them back. Okay, so a quick overview is that what you need to look at first is going to the general settings, and this 32 number here, the maximum path length, determines how good the quality is going to be in here. I've sent my passes to 6,000, but you can also set that to less than that. So the stop criteria down here is stop criteria is at 6,000, so I can put it to about 300, right? And it will update up here. So once it gets to 300, then just like in Octane, you can set the number of samples, and when you get to a number that you feel like is good enough, you can also enable the denoiser. So the denoiser is going to click in at whatever, so it is at 197. Let me see if I can, let me move